Hello and welcome to Dead Letter Movie Chat, episode 14, recorded November 30th, 2014. I'm Tim.
I'm Andrew.
And we're going to talk tonight about the new Hunger Games movie installment, Mockingjay Part 1. Right. Starring, of course, Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Donald Sutherland, Woody Harrelson, Julianne Moore, Elizabeth Banks, pretty much the entire cast of the previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, jump right into this. Let's. This is not a movie that stands on its own. You really have to have.
The fact that the film says Part 1 tells you that.
It does. And if you have not seen the previous installment, Catching Fire, this picks up right where that left off. And if you knew nothing about the whole setup or anything else going in, you would be completely lost starting here. Mm-hmm. So that, in my mind, is kind of a mark against it, but this is kind of for the fans, and it's with the expectation that, hey, the other movies are out there, go watch them. So it's not as much a mark as it might be.
It's just a thing that they're doing now, and it's irksome, but you understand it at the same time.
Yeah. Also, this was very, very much a Part 1. This is half of the story of Mockingjay. So the second part coming next year,
which is also really annoying. I feel like if they're going to do something like this, they should they shouldn't. A year is a lot. 6 months.
That's a lot.
When
you filmed them both at the same time like this, and it's not a huge, massive 3.5 hour long ordeal like Peter Jackson has been doing lately.
Yeah.
Really, we should have been seeing this in the spring or early summer, I think.
Right.
Instead, it's going to be around Thanksgiving, Christmas next year again. Which bothers me a bit too.
Right. But I guess I suppose they also have Philip Seymour Hoffman problems they may still have to deal with in Part 2. So
right.
I suppose I guess it's valid in a way. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit for that. I didn't really notice any serious editing problems. They worked around that pretty well.
They weren't going to do CG Philip, so
no.
We don't have to see that, so that's good.
That is good. That would have been awful. I'm really glad they didn't go that direction.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
No, it barely worked for Tron.
Yeah.
So.
And even then, that guy's not even dead.
Exactly, and yeah. So.
Yeah. So anyway, the film has really good performances by all the leads from before. Gale, which is Liam Hemsworth, he's doing a very good job still, and
he's actually got lines in this one.
He actually has lines in this one. Jennifer Lawrence, of course, rocks it. She does very well. Elizabeth Banks gets to shine a little bit more as Effie Trinket in this film, which is great. It's good to see her again. And her character gets a lot of development. I wish we could have seen more Woody Harrelson as Haymitch, because I just loved that character. When I read the books, I really liked the character. When I found out Woody Harrelson was going to play him, I was like, that is great casting. And they did a good job there.
Yeah. He's really kind of the salt in what would otherwise be kind of flat scenes. Even when they're tense and dramatic, he adds a lot of flavor that would otherwise be missing.
Of course.
He's great when he's on screen.
Yeah, but also we were talking about Tim and I always do like a run through before we do these, believe it or not, and we talked about how Josh Hutcherson actually gets to develop as an actor in this film as well. We get to see him go through hell basically, and it's good to. And now in this film, probably won't shine as much in this film as it will probably in the next one, but you could definitely see that this kid is getting to do more than he got to in the other two movies, which is good. Yeah. Other things about the film, it looks great. It's funny because we know that this is a big budget movie, whereas the first one was kind of like a moderate budget film. But they still
didn't have a lot of money to throw at the first one.
At that first one, which is why there's a lot more pictures of like District 12. just
Right.
before everything. And the cool thing about this is that they all still look like they're in the same universe. I mean, like some things will look like are technically part of the same like series, but they'll look like night and day and that could be for any reason. Like I always kind of like part 3 of Harry Potter looks pretty different from part 4, because that's partly because it's different directors, but that's just how it is sometimes. But this, despite the fact that they have a great amount of change in this, it still all looks like it's still the same world. It doesn't. Money has not made it look different.
It does. It does, and we get to see more of some of the different districts a little bit, which again they do feel like they're part of the same world, but they are distinct from one another. So they managed to differentiate in the way they look and feel. All the districts sort of had different focuses in the story, and I think that came through pretty well in the production design here as well.
Indeed.
So overall, most of this movie worked, but because it really was a part 1 and really is dependent on the second, if not as much the first film, I'm going to go ahead and give this a flat B. It's still compelling. I'm invested in the characters, and I want to know how this all plays out in the end. But it did have some of those weaknesses, like we just mentioned.
Right. And this film has a pretty big shift in tone from the other two. This one's a bit more Orwellian. This one's a bit more.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Not like the other ones weren't dystopia movies, but this one is definitely really right in the dystopia.
Yeah, the scope of it is larger. There are more wide-ranging effects of things that happen. It's not just Katniss and her immediate companions. It's much more about the entire world and all the districts and even the capital and far-ranging repercussions.
Yeah. Now, when I read the books, I didn't particularly like that, although I thought it was like better in quality. I just didn't think it meshed well with the other two. But I think they're doing they're probably in having this part 1 thing. They're helping bridge that better. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary to have 2 separate films for this book, and I understand it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. It's not a bad decision to do this, but it's just, I don't know. Basically, I feel the same way though. It's a B, solid B. I'm not like mad enough that I'm not going to go see the next one. I mean, it's not like that. I'm invested. I'm going to see the next movie. It's just a little, you kind of want it to stand on its own. You want it to be just a little bit better. And the break where they have before the next movie seems a little, I have no better word, but meh?
Yeah. It wasn't as abrupt as the end to Catching Fire, I didn't think. But it did feel a bit awkward. I feel the same way. I don't know that it was a bad decision, having not read the books myself. Mm-hmm. So It may be that they really needed all the time to really do the rest of the story justice, and it may not, but either way, I feel a little bit put out that they felt it was necessary to do it this way, and to have such a long gap in between.
Yeah. But, as you said, there are some other circumstances that are involved with it, so who knows? For all we know, the next movie might make this one look better, or it could do what it did with Kill Bill, where I thought Volume 1 was great until I saw Volume 2, and I thought, man, the special features of Volume 2 should have been Volume 1. But, well, but we'll see what happens. So, B's from both Tim and I. We're excited to see what happens, although it's a little weird when you have to do these Part 1 movies.
It is, and there's no question about that. I mean, see also Back to the Future Part 2, or even the second Pirates of the Caribbean to a somewhat lesser extent.
Yeah.
So, that about wraps us up for this time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.